Welcome back to 52 Weeks of Gaming. This week I decided I would go and enjoy summer a bit, even though we're in a pandemic and a rise in cases again, can't really go anywhere. I figured I would experience this for everyone, and this way then everyone can live vicariously through me through a video game is pretty much what I was thinking, and that's why I did Disneyland Adventures. Now, Disneyland Adventures originally came out in 2011 with the Xbox 360 because it was called Kinect Disneyland Adventures. The idea behind it was using the Kinect, which, again, remember, was a big thing for the Xbox 360. I know I had one. I actually went out Black Friday for one. That's a whole separate story. But it required the Kinect for it, and so you can kind of go around Disneyland and have these interactions with the characters, but use the Kinect to be able to move around and kind of immerse yourself as the Kinect wanted to go and do. Then came the Xbox One, Kinect faded out, and so then they allowed a controller for it, and I didn't want to use a Kinect for this, even though it still gives you the option to do so. So I played just Disneyland Adventures, not the Kinect version, and it is something that was developed by Frontier Developments, initially Asobo Studio, for the remaster, which was just the Disneyland Adventures, and then published by Microsoft Studios because it's on only Xbox. Now, one thing that I did like right off the bat about Disneyland Adventures is it gives you that whole feel now of Disneyland. Now, the one thing right off the bat I was kind of thrown off for, and maybe it's because it's a game based on 2011, is just overall kind of how your character looks. I mean, I will go and give it credit because it is supposed to be a kid. You are a kid who's wandering around Disneyland by himself and running into all these Disney characters and playing these games and going on these quote adventures, as the game is called. It's really the world's longest and largest fetch quest is pretty much what this game is. And it makes sense. The whole idea is to go and experience it and have kids enjoy Disneyland. And it definitely takes time to go and pick up, because you have the kind of the tutorial where you meet Mickey and have to run back and forth. But it gets to a point where it just feels, because it is just fetch quest after fetch quest, that eventually there's a point where you have the entire park and you're running around trying to go and find things in the New Orleans Square for Tiana, and then you suddenly happen upon any of the characters in the Creature Country because you went, or Creature Country, because you went that way, and so you went up in the Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh or on Splash Mountain and meet Briar Fox, Briar Bear, and Briar Rabbit. Like, there's parts to this game that I absolutely enjoyed, but it's like the literal definition of grinding and waiting, because you have so many different interactions and fetch quests and things you have to go and find and run and talk to someone else or jump into an attraction, which is one of the rides, to be able to go and find these items that are required for this. And so you play multiple times in an adventure, and you might have to do levels the same time, and you have to perfect them for different achievements. That it's the amount of time that is required to go into this game, if I wanted to go and actually perfect it, would probably be hundreds of hours, just because of how long the game goes. But there is something to say to that, because it's open world and you have it could take this long, goes and shows just, I don't want to say replayability, because there's just one really playthrough you're going to really be able to go and do time-wise, just because of the amount of time you're going to have to put into it. But there is so much to go and do in this game with all the different adventures and the different rides, and you get, I think, 7, if I counted correctly, different, quote, magical items to go and use. So you can take photos, you have a fishing pole, you have a baton to go and lead parades, you have a magic wand to go and find things that are hidden, you have a spyglass to find things that are hidden, actually, like, visually hidden. and you have all these different things you can go and use, and so it's really going through the park and taking the time to go and figure everything and find all the hidden things and meet all the characters. And I think the people who do the voice work for all the characters, it's either the actual voice actors that were currently doing it in 2011, or it's just really good voice actors who are able to go and do the coverage for it. But I think it's a game that is a lot of fun. I think it's a game that is something that if you want to go to Disneyland, or you want to have your kids go to Disneyland, and we're currently in our situation, now is the perfect time to have them kind of do it, because I have faint memories of being in Disneyland, and I can tell you that the park hasn't really changed. And I remember seeing things in it and being like, there's a photo of me with that, there's a photo of me with that, and just kind of all this flashback that's coming back to it from playing it, and loving Disney characters and games and movies, that it was a lot of fun to go and play it out, although it was frustrating to go through it and go and do all these fetch quests and things that were just taking their time and annoying and kind of overall going through it. Is it something that I will go back and finish eventually? Yes, because it's just as I said, the drawn out going and finishing it. It's nothing that is overly difficult to go and do. It's just very time consuming. So it's something that I think people would go and enjoy. If you like Disney games or Disney characters, you would definitely go and enjoy it. If you're a kid, you definitely would enjoy it. And I think the Connect side of it is cool as a kid, because you can kind of interact with them and say hi, and then the characters voice back, and it makes it a bit more immersive. But I can also see just how much there is to it, that eventually a kid's gonna go and get bored of it. And that's kind of the downside to it. It's this negative side of having so many things to go and do in the game that eventually the kid might be bored with it. But that's just the consequence of it, and it's different for each person. And I know I can say that just from my experiences with it, that there were points where I was just like, okay, I just need to go and do this one more thing, and one more thing, and one more thing, and one more thing, and kind of go in and out. And you can go and make it as fun as you want. You run around with someone else and have them have a character and go on rides and take photos and do all these things. But it's just a lot, and that's kind of what it's gotten to with even looking at the timing for this video. It's a lot, just because of how many things there are to go and do in it. But that is what kind of makes it cool, makes it fun, and kind of gives it the Disney magic that Disney wants to go and put into everything that they do.